Jessica, how are you doing?
Oh, Dave, I'm fantastic and excited to talk about Cocodona today. How are you?
Yeah, good. Looks like you got some beautiful weather there in Boise.
It's bluebird sky almost every day here in Idaho. I want to tell you how amazingly beautiful it is, but I also want to say all we have is potatoes and you should just not even come. Nobody should come to Idaho. We don't have anything cool here. There's
You're
not
going to
gorgeous
keep it for
mountains.
yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Good. Very nice. Very nice. Well, in Dallas today, it is overcast and 75 degrees and like 95% humidity. So um, we're suffering through some bad weather here in Dallas, but that's all right. It'll clear up. Um, so I think we've got a great interview for everyone here today. Quick introductions in case you don't know us. I'm Dave Smithy. I'm the founder of Top Out Adventures. We're an adventure travel company with trips in the U.S., Mexico, Nepal. We're all about giving folks a chance to go out, have an adventure, make new memories, and make new friends. And part of the adventures we love, we've always been doing, is ultra running. And so the chance to speak with Koren Brown and Stephen Aderholt today is great to learn about Cocodona 250. And so I'm looking forward to sharing that with everyone. And Jess, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Jess Vandenbush, and I am the founder, and editor-in-chief of Eat Clean Run Dirty magazine, which is also a podcast. It's a community, really. And one of the things that brings us together today is that we've committed to being aid station captains at the Cocodona 250. And I just want to take for a minute for people listening. The course is so inspiring, and that was the thing. Like the second you asked me, Dave, I was like, I am all in for whatever. This race starts in Black Canyon City in Arizona. It goes all throughout the Saguaro Desert. It goes through Sedona. It ultimately ends in Flagstaff. It goes through historic mining communities. It is epic. And I knew that when you asked me, I was either going to end up working at the race or signing up for it myself, because it's just such a fantastic, inspiring course. What an amazing endeavor and adventure. And so the opportunity to speak to our people on the show today was just fantastic. Like I'm really excited to be a part of this. I guess that's a long introduction.
Yeah.
It's who I am, and I just have
it's
shameless enthusiasm around this race.
I'm right there with you. I cannot wait to see this, to support the runners. It's pretty cool. And in this conversation we've got coming up, it was really cool. We have three really great perspectives between, obviously we're looking at volunteers. We've got Koren, who is running it and her preparations. And we've got Stephen, who is the race director, and he's getting this big beast together. So really interesting to hear the conversation. I think everybody will enjoy it. So.
Well, I wanted to say too, one of the things for people listening is Koren is not somebody who's done like the triple crown of 200s and things like that. She's,
right.
She is going from 50K to 248 miles. Making that jump. She is a complete badass. And so her story really inspires me, and I think it will our listeners as well.
Okay. And so Steve and Koren, I don't know if you guys met at all.
No. Hi, Steve.
Hey there. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
We've been corresponding. I've emailed you a few times just about race questions.
Oh, cool. Are you feeling ready?
Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't really have any, I don't know. I don't have any preconceived notions at this point, so I'm all for it. Maybe I'll think differently after I do a race like this. So.
Yeah. Have you done a 100-miler before?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've done multi-days and fast packing, so that's how I'm coming into it.
Yeah, cool. I think it's actually a lot more like fastbacking and multi-day events than it is a 100-miler, and it's, I think, a lot more enjoyable than a 100-miler. So you're in for a treat.
Have you done the whole course?
Yes.
You have.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did it take you? Did you do it all at once, or have you been sectioned?
I did it over 5 days, 6 days, 5.5 days. And then I've been on the course. I mean, I did it all in one stretch in 5.5 days, but then have done sections of it countless times.
Wow.
Yes.
Koren, as any good co-host would do, I creeped on you on Ultra Sign Up and did some investigation. And I've learned that not only are you from Ohio and that you live in Flagstaff, but I could find no results for you on Ultra Sign Up. Koren, did you just decide to do a 250-mile distance as like one of your first ultra events?
No, I've done ultras. I'm not sure what results I wouldn't have on Ultra Sign Up, but I haven't done that many. I started running 2 years ago. So, I mean, the most I've done is 50 Ks. So
I would like to take this moment to acknowledge the badassery that was the moment where you decided you were going to do the Cocodona 250. As you know, people tell me like, Jess, you went from 50K to 100 miles. Oh my goodness. No, this is truly badass, Koren. And I just want to take this moment to acknowledge it. Don't brush over it. It's a huge endeavor, and I like love your gusto. Tell me about the moment when you clicked register.
I was peer pressured a little bit, to be honest. Like over the summer, I was doing some donkey races. I do pack burro racing on the side. And so we were out on a family trip, and I had somebody with the pack burro community that was like, hey, I'm going to do this race. You should do it too. And I had seen the course, and I had like, as soon as I saw the race, it like really resonated with me. It's just because of where it is and how it's structured, because I live in Flagstaff. So like, as soon as he started saying, you should do it, I had already kind of been like, yeah, I kind of was thinking about it, but that's like a lot of miles. And he's like, no, it's just 50 miles a day. You can totally do 50 miles a day. And I went home and I talked to my husband about it. And I was like, I think I'm just going to do it. And my husband's like super supportive. So
he's an enabler.
I did it. And then after that, I think I had a little panic attack because it's a big investment and I knew it going in. And I work full time. I have 2 kids and I'm in school too. So like, I'm doing it all right now, but I think I'm well prepared for it because I'm a parent of young children anyway. So I've already been doing an ultra race. So it's just the long version, 18 years. You know what I'm saying?
What is your, all right. So I have to go in there. Donkey races. What? Can you tell me more about this donkey racing?
I got into pack burro racing just shortly after I started doing ultras, and I'm kind of a fangirl of Chris McDougall. So like, I think at the time, I even had a donkey at the time, and I'd gotten him for maybe pack burro racing.
That's one.
And then like Running with Sherman came out, and then I have this like influencer friend that she's taken me on these crazy adventures. She's the reason I ultra run, and she's like, Chris McDougall's going to be in Santa Barbara doing a book signing and we should go. And to be honest, I had just done my first pack burro race in Superior, Arizona. A friend of mine organized it. And I was like, oh, I'll totally go. So we drove 9 hours to Santa Barbara to meet Chris McDougall. And just so I could tell him I went pack burro racing with a donkey. And like, it was just super cool. And after that, I've done 4 or 5 more races, and I'll do more this summer too. So it's an interesting hobby. It's in I mean, it's growing in Arizona, but it originates out of Colorado. And you run a race with a donkey, and sometimes you run and sometimes you walk and sometimes you drag. So it's good training. Yeah. It's really good training.
This is amazing. So, but you had said that your husband is really supportive. and encouraging about your endeavors, which is wonderful. So, for this Cocodona endeavor, does he plan on crewing you? Do you have a crew and pacers? Like, how does that come into? Are you doing it alone with the support of the race? What's the support structure around you doing this race look like?
I have one friend that's going to join me for a little pacing around Tuesday evening through to Wednesday morning. My brother-in-law is coming from Colorado. He's a mountain biker, rock climbing guy, and he's done a few ultras. So he's going to probably be my main pacer, but it's not going to be till Thursday. Just everybody's got to work. So I've just been planning it by myself. I'm actually pretty good at planning stuff. So that's like my strong suit. Just putting together like my time objectives and I don't know, the aid stations are super awesome. Like Patty's been amazing. I have nutrition needs. I have a gluten intolerance and I'm hypothyroid. So like I've been working with her to make sure that my food's going to be what it needs to be so I don't get sick. And so I'm just really doing the best I can with what I have. When I get closer to Flagstaff, my husband will be here with his brother and they probably will definitely assist me towards the end. But everything else is like, let's just see what happens.
Right. Well, and I wanted to ask, you had talked about, a little bit of your running background and stuff like that, but to go way back, like what were your first experiences like getting outside and what was that like growing up? Cause, is your background more of like what led you to trail running? Is it because you come from a running household or you were an athlete, or is it because you just love getting outside? What does that look like for you?
Dude, I'm like such a weird, I have a super bizarre background. I come from Oak Harbor, Ohio, which is this little tiny farm community off of Lake Erie. I hated running growing up. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. And my sports were golf and softball. and my household was like the most unhealthy.
Either of those sports.
What's that, Dave?
Literally no running.
No running. No running. Yeah. I was a sprinter. I did track and field in 8th grade, and I was a great 100-yard dasher and a really good long jumper. Like that's what I was. That was my natural ability. But running, I remember they put me in an 800 once during a track and field match, and I thought I was going to die. Like I was like, this is stupid, and running is dumb. But gosh, I've had such an obsession with the outdoors since I was a kid. And I grew up in a household that didn't camp. TV was on all the time. We ate nothing but unhealthy foods. Like pop was my water, like I didn't grow up healthy. So, but I remember reading about things like specifically I read in an Encyclopedia Britannica, that's how old I am, about backcountry camping. And I was like, this is so cool. The idea of like just going out in the wilderness and like having just gear, but leave no trace. And like, I just thought that was fascinating. And I had no experience with it. So fast forward to when I was in my 20s, I had gotten in like a severe car accident, went through major rehab on my right leg. And then because of that, I had received a large cash settlement. So I was like, I'm going to do this thing called Boulder Outdoor Survival School. And I went and I did Boulder Outdoor Survival School. It was a 28-day field course where you have to live in the wilderness and they teach you all the things like making fire with sticks and foraging for food. And you have to go for 3 days without food and water. Like it's really intense. And I'm telling you, I wanted to die. And I really like so many bad things happened when I was there. I ended up not finishing the course. I had to quit. And I was like one of the first people that ever quit doing this because I was so sick. The water made me sick. I had sliced my thumb open when I was carving a spoon. Everything I tried to do was just so much harder. And like, it was my first introduction to doing something that challenging, but I always think my brain was way ahead of the game. Like I wanted to do these things, but I had no experience because of where I came from. So I had like this big fantasy. And then when I went to do it, I just got knocked down like huge. And then it wasn't until later in my 20s, I started rock climbing. And like, once I started rock climbing, stuff started to click. And then I had my first son. And to be honest, I wouldn't be the ultra runner I am if I had not given birth to my children, because it wasn't until going through the process of pregnancy and delivery that I really discovered just how strong I am. Like, some women can be ultra runners and have never had children. I needed that experience to see what I was truly capable of, because giving birth to a child naturally in your home is an ultra event, like, of its own. And I don't know, just it changed who I was and how I perceive challenges. And whenever something is hard, all I have to do is think about those occasions when my children were being born. I can do anything. So, and now in my 30s, the frontal cortex is fully developed. I feel like I'm in a good place for mature decision making. And but yeah, I didn't start running until after my first son was born. That's when the running started. And that was just because I had this kid that, what do you do with this kid that wants to be held and moved all the time? You know, you put him in a jogging stroller and you just start doing stuff. And I couldn't even rock climb with him because he was just such a needy baby. And so I switched to ultra, or not even ultra running. It was like, I ran for a mile here, I ran for a mile there. Still thought I was going to die, but it just, I don't know. I got to the point where, like, what would it feel like if I ran 6 miles? You know, what would it feel like if I ran 8 miles? And I remember the first time I ran 6 miles, and it was like, it was horrible. I thought I was going to die. Every time I've done something, I thought I was going to die. Just make it stop. And then I'd be like, well, let's go a little further. And like, suddenly I'm doing half marathon. I started out doing obstacle course racing. So once I started running, I had some friends loop me into some OCR stuff. And then it just took off. Like, it just kept going. One challenge after another.
Well, it sounds like you have a long history of like playing with the edges of, you know, what you're capable of, you know, and each one of those times that you did something and it was uncertain and you weren't sure if you could do it or not. And then, you know, you got to the limits of what you're capable of. And each one of those times you grew. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like everything you've done up till now has prepared you for this.
That's exactly how I look at it. I feel like I've been training for this since I was about 16 years old, just with the stupid shit I've done. And it just all culminates. And as I'm training for this, I started doing more fast packing recently. And I had never slept outdoors by myself. Like, I've never been solo. And I did that a few weeks ago just to train for Cocodona. And I was like, this isn't that bad. And actually, it's actually kind of harder than I think Cocodona is going to be, because you have all this extra stuff you have to do that I won't have to do at Cocodona, like the food thing and the sleeping thing. So now that I've done that, I'm like, easy, no big deal. But I wouldn't have done it if I weren't coming into this race. And now I've ripped that Band-Aid off and I'm like, what's the next thing going to be?
Wow. In honor of Cocodona this morning, I made my run 2.5 miles. So just kind of thinking, you know, just 99 more. It was pretty. So the 250 miles, Steve. I know, you know, Jamil's got maybe the inspiration, and you talked about earlier, you've done the course, but that's a long ways, you know, in planning for this. I know you got a lot of background with Ragnar, and this is by no means your first rodeo, but 250 is what's unique or challenging in such a distance, in planning and, you know, making this race epic for your runners and safe. You know, what are you finding as the unique challenges with this kind of distance?
Man, I don't know that necessarily planning. I mean, a 250-mile race with all that comes along with it, the permitting and the planning and the logistics. I don't know that it's necessarily, I mean, it's unique. It's not necessarily unique to planning a race, because there's always logistics and permitting and all that stuff that goes along with it. What's been unique this year has been permitting with COVID. You know, all of the cities, the counties, health departments, you know, you name it, we started planning and permitting for this race 13, 14 months ago. And that was kind of right at the time that COVID was ramping up. And so basically all the entities, nobody knew what they were doing in terms of allowing permitting, and nobody had a snapshot of what it would look like coming up to, this May. So that was the challenging part, is everybody kind of, there weren't predefined permit requirements as all the entities were figuring it out. And also nobody wanted to give an answer because nobody knew what, none of the, the cities and counties and knew what the landscape was going to look like. So that was really the most challenging part is, and now, fast forward 14 months later, now they're all, they kind of know the drill now and permits are rolling in, but that's been the most challenging part, is navigating this, not only with all the logistics that go into it, but also with COVID.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Stephen, about, you've ran Wasatch 3 or 4 times yourself, and you've, done a lot of backpacking on the Pacific Crest Trail, and your experience at Moab. What kind of attracts you to those like long, rugged terrains and distances? What does it do for you? How does it bring you joy, or what do you find in that, in your experiences, that kind of brings you to want to be a part of Cocodona?
Yeah. Well, I hate to admit this, but I don't really like running races. That's my livelihood, but it's not necessarily my favorite thing to do, is be around a ton of other people and have the competitive piece. What I love is going out and being out in the outdoors with friends, adventures with friends. That's what I love. And it could be a day, or it could be a week or months out in the outdoors with friends. That's really what I like the most. In terms of racing, what I like the most is the camaraderie you get with the other runners, but also with your crew and pacers. You get, especially these longer distances, you get to a raw emotional place, and the highs and lows that you experience it's pretty addictive. I mean, you can get to a place where you're in the worst pain you've ever been in. You feel like there's no point in going on. I can't go on. It's over. And then 2 hours later, you're on a high, running a, 8.5 minute mile, which seems like you're sprinting. And then, the sun is setting and there's birds chirping, and, you can go through this roller coaster of emotions and just be really raw and broken down and thankful and bonded to your crew. That's so addictive,
It sounds like the same things that draw you to it are me as well. And, it's not a competitive thing for me. And explaining it to other people, explaining it to my partner, Ryan, who is like a shorter distance runner and he ran in college and stuff, explaining to him what I get out of ultra, his response is, "Oh, it's a spirit quest," and I guess that is kind of like that, there's a transformation with it. There's a connection with nature and a connection with oneself, and that human relationship, that you have with sometimes complete strangers, or, things like that. I love all of those things and the adventure of it. And, you get to help, as race director of Cocodona, you get to, facilitate that, create that environment for other people to have that same experience, which is really amazing.
Yeah, that's one thing. Probably the thing I like, the 2 things I like the most about being a race director are putting on the race week, the bonding that you have with the crew putting on. Part of it's not so much about the runner's experience. It's about, being outside, working super long hours with this crew of people that have also chosen to be in an industry, that doesn't pay a whole lot, but you get to be outside and work hard. And, bonding with the crew that puts on the race is a beautiful thing. But the other thing is introducing people to the beauty of trail running and being outside and pushing their limits. And that's a beautiful thing to observe.
What kind of advice, especially with your experience doing Moab yourself, what kind of advice do you have for Koren going into this race? What did you learn from your experience that maybe you can help her with?
I would say, this may be kind of, everybody has their own type of race plan or what works best for them. But what worked really well for me was sleeping longer stretches every night. I slept about 3 hours every night, and I tried to make about 70 miles a day. And then once I hit that 70 miles, and of course I had to be at an aid station where my crew was, but once I hit that 70 miles and got to my van with the crew, it was crack open a beer, have a big dinner, get a massage, sleep for 3 hours, and then as the sun was coming up, get back out. And man, it made a huge difference. That sleep, like I was passing people that were zombies every day, the same people, and making up time on them because, my body got that recovery time. And I would say, some people do it with, no sleep or 45 minutes a night, but for me, that worked really well. And then the other piece is just enjoy it, move slow and enjoy it, and talk to other runners and enjoy your pacers and your crew. And this is something that you're an experience that you're going to get and have for the rest of your life. So don't rush it,
Well, that's amazing. And wait, like a van of people that have beer and food and massages. I've been doing races all wrong.
I know. It's the best thing ever. I wanted to keep going. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to let's just keep running forever. You guys don't go back to work. Just support me. Be friends forever.
My people think it's crazy that I'm doing something like this, where it's like I'm taking a week off from working, and they're like, "But that's not vacation." I'm like, "Wait, but do you have kids?"
Exactly.
Do you understand? I think that was the draw for me when I started ultra running. Is like, all I have to do is eat, sleep, and move. That's it. Like, I don't have to answer my phone. I don't have to drive people anywhere. Like, this is great. So let's do it for a whole week.
So, Koren, what are you thinking in terms of your race plan? How does it, I doubt Chris threw you for a loop there. You probably thinking along those lines, but what are you thinking for yourself?
For my race plan?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty similar to what Steve's saying. Like, I don't think I'm going to make 70 miles in 24 hours. I just know my pace. I'm pushing to do, like, I have it compartmentalized in 6-hour blocks. I just got to travel 6 hours at a time, push to 20 miles every 6 hours, right? So I've got breakfast to lunch, 6 hours, right? And then lunch to dinner, 6 hours, and then dinner to bed, 6 more hours. So got my day divided by 3 6-hour blocks, and then the rest is sleep until I have to get up and repeat it. And as long as I stay on pace, and I'm planning my average pace at 3 miles per hour. Sometimes I'll be faster when the terrain suits me. I'm a downhill runner. So like downhill is where I make up a lot of my time. Uphill, I've been doing nothing but hiking, like uphills for the last 4 months now. Like I don't even, like, I do speed work, but I don't push to run. I'm just not like that. And so I've been consistent with that in my training. So I just have to make sure I hit that 50 plus miles per day. And I'm hoping to be done by Friday night. So that's as simple as I've got it. Everything else is just get those drop bags ready when I can see what I need. I mean, that's the challenge. To me, that's more challenging, is knowing what to put in my drop bags. I've never done that. So yeah.
You mentioned to me somewhere the past month ago in chatting that you're motivated by fear. And so Jess and I are going to be at the Jerome aid station. So do you want us to like dress up in scary costumes, or do you want us to, play loud music. What does it mean to be motivated by fear? And I will get out my gorilla costume and chase you out of the aid station if you need me to.
Dude, I think for me, it's just fear of failure. I have failed so, like, I can't even tell you. I've always, like, I'm a big doer. Like, I get a plan and I just do it. And so often than not, my plans fail. And I think that's a good thing. Ultimately, I understand the importance of failing. You have to fail 1,000 times to get it right. So, but for something like this, where you invest time and money and people are just rooting for you, and like everybody's like, oh, you're such an inspiration. Then you're like, crap, stop telling me this. I just want to do it. But like it makes it so that like if I don't succeed, it's letting other people down. So I have this fear of just not, I don't want to be the first one out. I just have to at least, I want to finish. Finish is the goal. But I mean, if I can't finish, I got to get really far. So that's what drives me. And when I'm on my ultras, it's the funniest thing. Like all my runs, my big stuff, like I always think in my head, I have this videotape that plays in my head of all the things that have failed for me. And it's not like a depressing thing. It's like my brain is just always working out what didn't work. What could you do differently? How can we do this? And then like I start planning, but that's kind of what I mean when I say failure pushes me, because or that fear pushes me, because I'm sure I'll be replaying so many parts of my life during this 250 miles. And, there's a lot of drama in my background. So I work through it. It's my therapy.
That's that one thing that I love about the 200 plus mile distance is, you mentioned, Koren, the like wheels falling off and you're worried that, you're going to not finish, but in 100 miler, you can't really take 6 or 8 hours off if things are going wrong and recover. I always feel pressure, in 100 miler, and it's like things start to go wrong and you're doubting yourself and you're like, I'm not going to be able to finish, or, I'm not going to make my time or whatever. With this distance race, you just put that out of your head. You're going to finish because there's so much time. Something goes wrong, you got time. So just put that out of your mind. You're going to finish.
Okay.
You got to get home. You got to get back to Flagstaff, right?
Well, yeah, that's our house is like, right. Like we're 3 miles from Fort Tuttle, which is like, and my husband's like, well, why don't you just come home and sleep that night? I'm like, yes.
No.
So like, that's my reward for making it to Flagstaff. And then once I'm in Flagstaff, there's no way I'm going to quit when I've only got like 30 some miles to go. So the whole time I'm just gonna be thinking about shower, bed. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Cool.
That's
Steve,
awesome.
that's great advice. I mean, I think that's, I think that's great advice for obviously this distance, but I think it's so important for anything, marathon and up. I have had so many experiences where I did not stop and reboot, and I pushed on through, and 2 hours later, I was so far in the hole, there was no getting out of it. And I think that's awesome advice. It's definitely one I have to remind myself, and I think it's going to pay off huge in this race. And Koren, so we're working the Jerome aid station. I am very excited now. I got to see you at the finish. I'm going to have you around and be there when you finish.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see all this trail. Like, it's going to be amazing. I've done pieces of it, but I haven't put it all together. So I can't wait to just see Arizona from 1,000 feet all the way up to 9,000 feet. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Steve, how much elevation gain is there in this course, and where is it? Tell us a little bit about the course.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny you ask about elevation. I had a setting wrong in Cal Topo where we have the race GPX stored, and I had a setting wrong calculating the elevation profile, And so we had it listed at like 25,000 feet of gain and a little bit less on loss over the entire course. And I was like digging around in Caltopo, and I was like, oh, what's this button? And I clicked it, and the elevation like just doubled. It went up to like 43,000 feet of gain. And I'm like, oh no,
Great.
that's so embarrassing. And then I made a post on social media. Hey guys, the elevation profile was wrong. I'm really sorry. It's updated. And it was like, it may have been on April 1st. I don't know. But everybody was like, yeah, good April Fool's joke. And I'm like, no, actually, that was just a mistake of mine. Man, this course is really special. It, Koren mentioned that it goes from, 1,000 feet up to 9,000 feet. It's really an exploration of central Arizona, going from the Sonoran Desert into the Bradshaw Mountains that really doesn't get a whole lot of exploration in it, and passing a ton of mining parcels and history and mines. And Jerome, man, the view from where you guys are going to be, Jessica and Dave, is amazing. Looking across the Verde Valley, seeing Sedona, and then the San Francisco Peaks of Flagstaff behind it. And then there's a few points along the course as you climb up and get high that you can see that view of the San Francisco Peaks and know that that's where you're headed. And then crossing the Verde River, you actually wade across through the river, pretty much at the halfway point, and then the loop around Sedona, and then you get up to Eldon at the end. I mean, the course is really spectacular. Jamil did a great job of kind of picking out this. This has been a dream of his for a long time. So yeah, Koren, you're in for something special, exploring your home state.
Cool. Are you doing sections of the course as part of preparation for the training? I mean, a lot of, you've got like a home field advantage there, I would think, being where you are, be able to run sections of the course.
I've done Eldon 3 times this week. So Eldon's the one that freaks me out the most. I just saw Steve, because it was like originally going up Hart Trail and like coming down Eldon. And that was like, cool, I can do that, because Hart Trail is like this nice thing, right? And then I went out there like on Sunday, and I was like going to do Hart and down Eldon. And I looked at the Cocodona map and I was like, what the F? You have to do Eldon up now? And to be honest, it's actually probably safer, because coming down Eldon is kind of scary when your legs are not well. It's very steep. But, you're thinking you're going up Eldon at mile 245. It's going to hurt, because like Eldon, just for people that haven't done it, is like stair steps. And for me and my short legs, it's like stepping higher than my knee in places. So it's kind of painful, but it's a really short uphill, just a mile and a half of steep. And then you got this nice downhill on a forest road. But like I've done that 3 times, and I'm going to Sedona this weekend to do Kasner. So I haven't done Kasner. I'm curious to check that out. And then my big training week was Black Canyon. I did the entire Black Canyon Trail. So, I've seen a chunk of that. I did Crown King Scramble. Crown King Scramble was my first ever ultra 2 years ago. So to be honest, and I'm going to tell Steve this because he'll know, like when I did Crown King, I was like, I picked a hard race for my first ultra. And when I saw Cocodona and I saw that it uses basically the Crown King course, all I could think was, if I can survive to get to Crown King, I'm golden. Like in my mind, Crown King is tough, because that course is like, it starts at mile like 10 for Cocodona, and you're going for 15 miles of just like nonstop uphill. Like there's no breaks. It's just climbing. And I'm not a climber, like not like that. So, but yeah, since I've done those courses, and over the summer, I did all of Prescott Circle Trail. So I've done them all. I just got to see it all put together now.
I got to tell you, the first, you picked out that first 37 miles is, you just got to get to Crown King, and that's just take your time through that. That's like such a rugged, hard, hot section. It could be, I'm really hoping that it's not going to be it could be 95 degrees and there's no shade and there's not very much water. That's really going to be the hardest part of the course. So just take your time through there.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious because the course is currently, when I signed up, it was 254 miles. Is sitting at 256. Is that like
No,
is that a done deal?
It's 255.8.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Like, what's another
And the
mile or two, right?
The elevation doubled too. So
It did. When I signed up, it was 37,000 feet. I'm not kidding. Like, I was like 37,000. Like, that's only Everest, right? And then and then I looked a few weeks ago. I was like, oh, it's only 27. Oh, that's not that bad. And now it's like 43.
Yeah.
You've got a great marketing campaign, strategy there, Steve. Just lure them in, and turn up the heat every week or every month before the race.
The thing is, it doesn't really matter. Whatever the number is, it's not going to, you don't know what the distance or the elevation is when you're in it. But I realize that there are the planners that do ultras that like plan out every little detail. When I do a race, I usually from a race director standpoint, it's totally different. Those mistakes on the elevation profile are quite embarrassing to me. But from a runner's perspective, I usually don't know at all what the course is like. I just show up and it's an experience. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are,
Agreed.
I wanted to ask you, Steve, I've done 100-mile races myself. I've been aid station captain at 100-mile races. I've never ran a 200-mile race. I've never crewed or paced or been at one. What are the differences that you can tell me and Dave that we should be prepared for between those two? As far as aid station goes, what are things that you needed or wanted or differences besides sleeping several hours and taking extended breaks? And for the listeners, what kind of differences can we expect for the runners to be going through? And what do you wish that you had, or what did you like most about your experience at Moab that we can bring to Cocodona?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if we covered it, but Jessica and Dave, you guys are crewing an aid station at in Jerome, which super thankful for that. It's a great aid station, and it's a really cool museum too. It's at a museum. You guys definitely should go check that out. But I think the biggest difference for being either crew or running an aid station on a race of this distance is for the backpackers. There's going to be carnage and zombies. I don't know if maybe by Jerome they'll be there, but from Sedona on, the back of the pack, from what I've heard, is in bad shape. Feet looking mangled and bloody, and you can't even take the socks off because they're just soaked in pus and blood, and which that maybe sounds terrible, but like that's maybe what you guys are going to be dealing with. And then just totally out of their mind, not knowing what's going on or which direction they're headed. And that, I think, is the big thing that aid station captains need to deal with, especially at the end of the race. I've met with a lot of aid station captains and medical crews from other 200-mile races, and they say the back of the packers, the last 50 miles are so out of it that if they're going the wrong direction, they've left the course, and we're looking at the GPS tracker and we can see that they've left the course, so we send a crew out to help them get back on course. They'll run away. That they don't really know what's going on so much that they'll run away from the crew trying to help them. So that's the big thing, is people pass their limit. Sound exciting, Koren?
I mean, you had me at the mangled, bloody feet. Oof.
Just
I don't know.
Sleep and take care of your feet. That's what you got to do. That's the only two things: sleep, eat, or three things: sleep, eat, and take care of your feet.
Yeah, I'm sold, and I'm telling you, like, I've been doing nothing but hiking. I mean, do you really think, like, you're talking about back of the package? Are you talking like people that went out too fast? Maybe like
I don't necessarily mean everyone in the back of the pack, but there will be people in the back of the pack that haven't slept and they're just moving at a snail's pace because things have gone wrong.
Okay.
And those are really the people that I'm not all of the back of the packers, but there will be those people that are at the back of the pack that that are just hanging on by a thread.
Okay.
That won't be you, Koren.
No, it won't be me. No, I'm good.
If people still want to volunteer, how do they do that, and where do they go?
Yeah, we have a pretty big need for volunteers still. We're about 70% full for volunteer shifts, which leaves about 120 spots still open for volunteers. And those are 7 to 12-hour shifts. Most of the shifts that are open are nighttime shifts. So yeah, a big need for volunteers. And volunteers get it's basically a $10 Aerovipa race credit per hour, $10 per hour race credit, which is really generous and not necessarily typical in the industry. Aerovipa is really good about trying to give back, and a volunteer shirt and then a big thank you. But it's about being part of this experience and seeing it and giving back to the ultra community that a lot of us are part of anyways. But yeah, big need for volunteers. You can go to cocodona.com. There's a page that's volunteer, and that'll link you to the sign up page for all the volunteer opportunities.
There's Jess.
I
There
don't
she
know
is.
what happened.
It's all right.
Internet
kinda-
troubles. The tubes were clogged, apparently. I wanted to ask, how many people does it take to put on a race like this, Steve? Like, oh my goodness. I'm sorry if I missed that, but like,
no, it's
gotta
a
be
good
tremendous.
question. Yeah, it's a lot. We have over 450 volunteer shifts that are 7 to 12 hours, and then we've got a crew of contractors and staff that's probably around 35 to 40 people that are working the whole week. So it's a big lot of people helping putting on this race, more than are running by about twice. Yeah.
What does the buckle look like? I didn't even see it.
It's a really great buckle, actually. I'll pull up a picture of it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it's handmade here in Arizona with Arizona copper. Let's see.
That's a broken screen. Is that a broken? No, that's the buckle. Okay.
Tilted a little bit.
There you go. I don't know if you can see it, but it's awesome. It has kind of all the different parts of the course, as the mountains above Flagstaff with the big pines and the Coconina Plateau. It's got the red rock of Sedona, the saguaro cactus. It's pretty great. It's not the reason you run, but it's kind of just a little keepsake for you,
That's wonderful.
Koren's gonna be wearing hers every day.
I'm gonna make it into a necklace so I have like a big bling around me.
Great idea. Well, thanks everyone. Really appreciate Koren and Steve. We'll talk about after the race when we get back together and share stories from the week.
Sounds good. It was great to meet you all.
I also have tons of follow-up questions about donkey racing.
I can totally talk about that stuff all day long. So anytime, Jess.
Have a great day. Thanks for the time. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. You
Yeah,
take care. I'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye. Okay. So really cool conversation. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that. Koren is incredible. Steven's doing an awesome job. It's going to be a great event. The Jerome Aid Station is going to be the bomb. We're going to, it's going to be people telling the stories about all the cool things they saw at the Jerome Aid Station. I'm probably overselling our our aid station.
Something about it makes me want to dress up like ghost miners, like from an episode of Scooby-Doo or something like that.
Oh.
Especially the runners will be a little bit out of it, so we could be like hospitable ghosts, making people
I love it.
sandwiches. So coming out of this is what I've taken away. I definitely want to live in a van, especially because when you run races, it's like your home can be at the aid stations. And I'm definitely going to end up signing up for a 200-mile race after this experience. This is what this podcast has cost me already. And we haven't even done the aid station yet, Dave.
Yep. Yeah, I think you may not be alone in that sign up. I may be with you, and we may have some listeners with you. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, I'm Dave Smithy with Top Out Adventures. You can check out everything we've got going on with at topoutadventures.com. You can learn about our trips to the Colorado Rockies or Mexico or Nepal. Would love to have you join us on any of those. You can follow us on the social media stuff on Facebook and Instagram, where we are Top Out Adventures. So thanks. I appreciate everyone tuning in. And Jess, I appreciate you joining us as well.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah. And if you are listening and you're interested in being a part of the Eat Clean, Run Dirty community, we would love to have you. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, Eat Clean Run Dirty, or visit eatcleanrundirty.com. You can subscribe to the print-only magazine that will be mailed to your home. It's great for reading when you're soaking in a salt bath and have a cold beer, for resting and relaxation. And also, if you're interested in crewing or pacing me at the Bigfoot 200 or donating a van to live in, please reach out to me. Because this is what we've gotten into now.
I see it happening now. Oh, great. Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.